Hey YouTube, Jim here. Welcome to Top 10 Archive. Originated by physicist Hugh Everett in the late 1950s, the parallel universe theory envisions infinite other universes that branch off each nanosecond, containing different outcomes, all without intersecting with each other. Today we're going to explore the top 10 creepy stories of the parallel universe. So exciting.
Number 10. Green-Skinned Kids. In the village of Woolpit in England, there was a green-skinned brother and sister who seemed to appear out of the blue. They spoke an unknown language and didn't eat anything other than raw beans. Somehow, the locals were still willing to care for them and teach them their customs. Over time, they lost the green color and ate food like everyone else. Despite the boy dying years later, once they learned English, the girl said they were from a place without much sunlight. She lived the rest of her life normally, getting married and having children. Does this mean there are mixed children on Earth with parents from other dimensions? Perhaps. Number 9. Gavin, the Time Traveler. Have you ever met a friend's future self? A Redditor by the username TheusEus thinks he did. He posted his story about a strange experience he had with his friend, whom he calls Gavin. He first talked about his friend's intelligence and how he had a higher IQ than anyone else he knew. They'd hang out the way teenagers do, watching YouTube and playing games. One day, TheusEus stopped by Gavin's place unannounced, and a middle-aged man opened the door. When asked if Gavin was home, he replied he was Gavin and looked confused. He gave in eventually and said Gavin would be home later. But when the Redditor told his friend about the experience, he said there was no such man and he had been home the whole time. Is Gavin the middle-aged man? Did his future self come back? If so, why was he so confused to see his friend? To this day, the two friends don't share the story with anyone but the internet. Number 8. A Man from an Unknown Country. Could it be possible that countries exist that we've never heard about? A customs employee in Japan was considering the possibility when a man showed up with a passport from a country called Taurid. According to the story, the man said he was visiting Japan for business and had stamps on his strange passport. He also held several currencies from Europe, checks from a bank no one has heard of, and a driver's license from Taurid. Immigration sent him to a hotel while they puzzled over what this was. A joke? A mirage? Maybe, because when they went to check on him, he was gone from his 15-story hotel room. The Tokyo police looked for him, but he was never found. A common theory out there is that he was from a different dimension where Japan and Europe also exist. Hopefully, he got home safely. Number 7. The Car. There seems to be no shortage of phantom car stories on Reddit, whether it's one from a foggy night on a road trip or the car that seemed like it was going to crash into an oncoming truck but disappeared on a windy road. This story, though, seemed a little eerier than most. It seems more than a ghost car. It was something from another universe. This person talks about going ahead of his family to a car park and almost getting run over. Upon looking at the car and the people in it, they were shocked to see it was their family car, same license plates, and their dad in the driver's seat. There was a girl and another woman in the car, but they seemed to be strangers. The worst part? They were all expressionless. As they tried to figure out who was in their family car, this person realized their own car was still there. The other car had vanished, and the dad? He was on his way out to the car park. To this day, this person has no idea what happened. Number 6. Wrong turn or portal to a new universe. A user shared a story about how she and her friends were driving on a black asphalt road in the desert and took a wrong turn. Suddenly, They were on white cement, surrounded by grain fields and near a lake. Looking for something familiar, they saw a building with a neon sign and illegible writing. When they pulled in to get directions, a group of men ran out of the door, waving their arms at the women. But they realized, after a closer look, that they didn't even look human. They drove off and saw other cars on the road very different from their own, egg-shaped and with only 3 wheels. They kept driving until they somehow found their way back onto the desert road. But where had they gone? They never figured out where or how. Number 5. A festival. Jemison on Reddit shared this experience, and it sparked a debate about the possible explanation. They were at a festival and were approached by a man who then stared them in the eyes, only for the person to find out that he had no pupils. Then he asked the person about every single one of their senses. First, if they saw it. After some confusion, they did. Bright colors, like an aura. Then, if they heard it, sounds, harmonic hums. Then, if they smelled it, something indescribable. Finally, if they tasted it, a taste like a cough drop. When the person asked his name, he said, "I have no name," and walked into the crowd. People have theorized that it was dehydration, or that the man hypnotized them. But maybe he was just from a parallel universe. Number 4. A wedding from another universe. A 17-year-old girl told this story, which she remembered from when she was 9 years old. She walked down the aisle as a flower girl at her aunt's wedding, though her trip to another dimension started after the wedding. In the car on the way to the reception, she fell asleep. When she woke up, everything was different. Her dress was light orange instead of dark blue, and the entire theme of the wedding had changed. She thought simply everyone had changed for the party and had fun. To this day, all the photos and everything of the wedding and the reception are all orange. Did she start a new life in an alternate universe in that car? Would she want to go back to the other one if she could? Number 3. The underground of this woman's town. When driving to San Bernardino, a woman says she came upon a sign for her hometown, Riverside, California. She decided on a whim to visit the place, but it looked different. She couldn't find her own house. Even the cemetery where her grandparents were had disappeared. University Avenue, normally very lively, was unkempt and abandoned. She tried for hours to find something familiar and started to fear she might be stuck there if she talked to anyone. She left feeling confused and disoriented. Years later, when she returned to bury her father in that same cemetery, everything was back to normal. So, what happened to the old forgotten town? It's probably out there somewhere in another dimension. Number 2. Back in time. Gunzo, the Redditor, said in a dream once he was driving home listening to old music and he saw a badly damaged car on the side of the road. After stopping to call for help, he found an unconscious young woman with short, curly blonde hair in the car. The Redditor dragged her out and gave her first aid until an ambulance was approaching. He looked to the ambulance and looked back only to find the woman wide awake, shocked. Then, the Redditor says, he woke up. Weeks later, his uncle gave him a photo collage of his family for their birthday. In the photos were his parents, so young and different. The shocking part? The mom, pregnant in the photo, was covered in scars and was the woman from their dream. When he told his dad about the dream, he said a man had rescued his mother 25 years ago and then disappeared. Did he save his own mother and himself, the unborn baby? If so, why does he remember it like a dream? Number 1. A parallel library. Reddit user 3Acid Nirvana shared the story of a time when his teacher gave the class a research assignment that required sources from a list supplied to them. He chose one and checked the book out from the library. He finished his assignment and returned the book, only to realize he forgot one citation. Upon returning, he was told that not only had he not checked that book out, the book didn't even exist. So, what was his whole assignment about? Why was this book on the list? Thanks for watching. The biggest question of all, when does the parallel universe start and end? So many blurry lines on this one. But if you have any theories, leave them in the comments. If you're not already, we'd love to have you as a subscriber to the Top 10 Archive universe. Always something strange or interesting for you here. Just click the button, ring the bell, and give this video a like. Now you can return forthwith to your place of origin or to the nearest convenient parallel dimension.